the new Resident Evil film might actually take place in the same universe as the games. Here's what we know.
It's the rhythm of the games that I'm obsessed with. You know, the idea that you're locked with one person and you're on this foot journey from point A to point B, and you just get into all these different, increasingly horrible scenarios, and you have to keep track of like resource management and ammunition and all these things.
Since Zach Cregger's new film Weapons released, media outlets have begun asking about his next project, the new Resident Evil movie. We know the movie is starring Austin Abrams as an organ courier. He is tasked with making a delivery to Raccoon City General Hospital, finding this city in the middle of a virus outbreak. At this time, we don't know much else about the movie, aside from some rumors that Mikey Madison might be involved. Fans are rightly cautious, but in my last video, I shared why I'm actually quite optimistic about the film. I believe Zach Cregger has proven himself as a great horror director with his debut film, Barbarian. Not only that, but his new film, Weapons, is doing even better, with a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes and opening with 70 million worldwide against a budget of only 38 million. The thing that made fans sound the alarms is the fact that the film is introducing a new protagonist. We know from previous ventures that not following the story of the games usually results in disaster. I would also argue, however, that following the story of the games can result in disaster as well. Welcome to Raccoon City tried to be faithful to the games, but that's not enough when the director doesn't understand what makes the games good. If you need some context, Robert Johannes stated that Jill and Claire were the same character. Mr. Johannes, next time try turning on your TV and inserting the disc. Cregger, on the other hand, has expressed he's a big fan of all the games and knows what makes them tick. I also want to mention that he hasn't only played RE4 like some people mentioned in my previous video. He said he played RE4 100 times, which doesn't mean he dislikes the other games. That's the equivalent of me saying I hate hamburgers because I mostly prefer eating pizza. You can prefer something while liking the other at the same time. If fans had doubts, Cregger's recent comments to Inverse should ease them. The film might not only understand what makes the games good, but it seems like it's going to exist alongside the games. Zach Cregger said, "I am the biggest worshipper of the games, so I'm telling a story that is a love letter to the games and follows the rules of the games." He also stated, "It is obedient to the lore of the games, it's just a different story. I'm not going to tell Leon's story, because Leon's story is told in the games. Fans already have that." This might upset some fans, but I believe he's right. We already have the story we know and love in the games, and recreating it will only open the doors to more fan dissatisfaction. Like I stated in my previous video, I'd much rather have an original story than seeing these beloved characters getting butchered. This happened with Welcome to Raccoon City, but don't get it wrong, it also happened with the Anderson films. Although the characters kinda resemble their game counterpart in those movies, their personalities and what makes them appealing is nowhere to be seen. I also find this statement very interesting. So far, many of us thought the film was going to be completely separate from the games. That's been these movies' MO, apart from the CG films. But now it seems that Zach Cregger is hinting that the film might actually take place in the world of the games. In fairness, this can be a double-edged sword. I think it gives the project a lot more room to ruin canon, so to speak, especially if you use characters from the games. On the other hand, if you use original characters, which seems to be the case, then I think we reach a sweet spot where it feels faithful to the source material while leaving what we love fully intact. Personally, I think this is the way to go when it comes to adaptations like these. We as fans want to see our fandom being represented. We also, however, want to see it represented with respect. If the world, and in this case Raccoon City, is faithfully adapted to the screen, then I think people will be more open to the idea of having an original protagonist again. But other than lore, there's also another important thing, the feel of the film. Regarding this, he also stated the following to Variety. "Those games pioneered something special. The pacing of those games is so unique and effective, and just being locked in with one character moving from point A to point B, knowing you're going to pass through this gauntlet of horror and you've got to be methodical and thoughtful about it. That's cool, that's cinematic. So I want to tell the story in the world of the games that honors the lore of the games, but it's a new story. He also said, "It has nothing to do with any of the other Resident Evil movies, and if I do my job, it will be fresh, edgy, and weird." For some reason, people commented in my previous video that him not watching the previous films makes him a fake fan or something. In my opinion, anyone is better off not having watched those films, so this is actually a selling point for me.
GTA, motherfucker! Oh, yeah! 10 points!
Actually, in GTA you don't get points, you get money. It's enough to misunderstand one series, let alone two. Also, edgy and weird perfectly describes RE very well. Some may wonder why call it Resident Evil if it's a new story, but to me that question misses the point. As Cregger pointed out, Resident Evil follows a distinct formula rarely captured in past films. I think the first film did it pretty decently, but there is a lot of room for improvement and to make something really special that reaches the potential of the games. And just as a quick reminder of what this formula is, these games usually follow a character who is initially caught off guard. The protagonist explores a singular main location while descending into a spiral of close calls and conspiracies. By the end, they find themselves right in the mouth of the beast, having become stronger and ultimately unraveling the plot. Like Cregger said, the character goes from point A, so the mansion for example, to point B, which usually is the lab. I imagine the film will take place mostly in a snowy area in the outskirts of Raccoon City, as the leaks suggest, and the protagonists will ultimately find themselves in the RC General Hospital only to discover they have been a pawn in someone's scheme. In the meantime, the characters will face great adversity, various close calls, and will be hardened with experience, making the ending a satisfying closure to their arc. All of this fully represents what makes Resident Evil so compelling, and if Zachcregger succeeds in this regard, then we might have the best adaptation of Resident Evil so far. Honestly, I'm becoming more and more excited for this movie as time goes on. With Zachcregger's recent film garnering critical acclaim higher than that of his debut, looks like things might actually work out this time. Obviously, good directors have made bad films before, and I can't lie, Constantine films truly suck. But so far, Zachcregger has said all the right things for me. I will keep you updated when we get more news about the film, and until then, see you next time.